karate, dude. What up? Yasuke was a fake samurai. Shut up, man. What a troll. What a troll. Adam in the chat trolling. That's my brother. If you didn't already know. And he's definitely trolling. Okay, yeah, so this is, like I said, it's very Muso-like. At least in the beginning of the game. Even the control scheme, like the combo shit is very Muso-like. I like Muso games too. Muso games for me though are they're like things that I can only play every once in a while. You know, because they're so kind of like formulaic. And the gameplay doesn't vary all that much. Okay, so that's how we change stances. All right, L1 to change stance. Wait, two sword stance. That's fitting for Musashi. To be clear, we are not Miyamoto Musashi. We are, I mean, we'll soon find out. Spoilers, we're his adopted son, which is the kid that was in that story that disappeared. You can put two and two together. It's not that complex. Musashi did have an adopted son. His name was Jotaro. And there's a lot of like folklore around Jotaro that he was a ninja, trained with the ninjas in Iga and shit like that. But also ninja don't exist. Spoiler alert. That's another thing we'll talk about in the whole Assassin's Creed thing. Is that ninja weren't ever really a thing. So I was gonna wait a little bit to get into it, but we can start talking about it. I mean, there's a lot of really stupid discourse going on around the new Assassin's Creed game. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a new Assassin's Creed game that just got announced. I think it's coming out in September, I want to say. And it is Valor Strike. Fuck you guys, you got Valor Struck. You've been Valor Struck. Anyway, the controversy behind this game is that one of the two main characters, there's two main characters in the game. One of the two is none other than the Yasuke. Famously, people always say the first African samurai. He is the only African samurai. I think that should be clear. Like, he wasn't the first of many or of a few, or no, he was the only one. And I think that's notable, right? And important. He was the only one. And then the other character is actually, they say, this is kind of silly. They say that she is the daughter of a famous ninja, but she's actually a gender-swapped version of a historical samurai who may have been, yeah, I mean, he was from a province that was kind of famous for their shinobi tactics and whatnot. But you know, was he a ninja? Like I said before, No, there was no such thing as ninja. Um, but did he engage in Shinobi no Mono, which is more or less ninja tactics? It's espionage tactics. Yeah, probably. A lot of samurai did. A lot of samurai did. There were certainly certain regions of Japan that specialized in it and were hired by like larger daimyo that, you know, whatever, needed that kind of work done. But they were all samurai. That's another thing, is the word samurai wasn't even commonly used back then. That's also kind of a more modern word. They didn't start using the word samurai really until the Sengoku period was basically over. Before then, like, the warrior class of retainers, that's an important word we're going to talk about soon, were referred to generally as bushi. But again, even that's kind of a general term. So, sounds exactly like something a ninja would say. Shh. All right, let's fight this motherfucker. But you know, you got a lot of really stupid people out there. R2. There we go. Trying to say that Yasuke was never a samurai, that he was a retainer, not a samurai. That's the stupid. Why can't I dodge? Oh my god, I'm pressing the dodge button. It's R2, right? Oh, he's like immortal. Damn. The dodge window is really small. Okay, I was behind his ass. Okay, we're dead. We died. Game over. So, yeah, the argument is that there's no reference to Yasuke being a proper samurai. Cock and balls. Oh my god. I pressed the button. I pressed it again. Because I'm pitiful. Okay. I don't really get it. Okay, you're supposed to die. Alright, you're supposed to get your ass kicked. I thought so. I did play through this before, but I couldn't remember. So, you've got those people, right? You've got the Yasuke was not a samurai people, right? Those people are idiots. You've got people that are upset that Yasuke is in the game purely because they're like, why isn't a Japanese protagonist? Those people, I think, of any of the people complaining about this game, maybe have the most leg to stand on. Because, yeah, it kind of makes sense, right? Also, Yasuke being a giant black dude, super powerful, awesome guy, cool samurai. Not really gonna blend in super well, right? Now, maybe I don't understand what Assassin's Creed games are these days. I always thought they were stealth games, you know? So that part doesn't make sense. But honestly, that's not a huge deal, right? You've got the people who think that the only people who have a qualm with him being in a game are racist. That's also, you know, there certainly are some racists out there, and that's, you know, that sucks, right? But to say that that's most of the people that are upset about the game, I think is disingenuous. And the only reason, like, people are upset about the game is because they're racist, I think disingenuous. But yeah, it's complicated. But like, honestly, like, what annoys me the most really is the people saying that Yasuke is not a samurai. And that's just because, like, I'm obsessed with samurai. And like, I've been studying samurai for a significant amount of my life. Samurai history is really fucking cool to me. Samurai culture is really fucking cool to me. And the story of Yasuke is really fucking cool to me. And if you know anything about samurai, you know that when someone is referred to as a retainer, that means that they are a samurai with a job. They're employed by one of the feudal lords, one of the daimyo. Okay? Doesn't matter what their job is. Additionally, people are talking about like armor bearers as though they are like that's some kind of like, oh, this guy just carries your luggage. That's insane. You clearly don't know anything about historical armor bearers from any culture if you say that. Because armor bearers are usually the right-hand man of that person. Like, they engage in battle, they're the fucking bodyguard of that person. They play a very important role. If you're the armor bearer for the most powerful fucking person in Japan, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. All right? To say that he wasn't a samurai is insane. That's an insane thought. That's fucking crazy. Now, do I also think that Ubisoft picked Yasuke and gender bent a historical samurai for culture war points? Yeah, I do. You know? And that's not to say that Yasuke doesn't deserve his own game. I think he does. I think he's a really cool character, you know? I think the presentation of this wasn't very good. I think the choices are strange. You know, and like, you can say that, like, oh, that's a crazy thing to think. They, you know, people just think that because they're racist or whatever. But if you just look at the people who are making this game, like, the lead writer is, like, some white chick from Quebec, right? She's French-Canadian. And the cultural consultant is, like, a gender studies professor that specializes in fucking pedophilia. Okay? like this Japanese lady that doesn't even live in Japan. I'm pretty sure she's married to a French Canadian person. And her focus of study was monks that had sexual relationships with young boys. Okay? So if you don't think that these were, like, culture war choices, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You got another thing coming, dude. Like, it's the truth. Now, can they still tell a really good story with Yasuke? Is Yasuke a good character? Is he, like, all that stuff? Yeah, they could. So, you know, like, don't count it out, but also don't ignore the truth, right? Like, these things are important to note, I think. You know, whatever. It's Ubisoft, so probably not. That's the other really important thing to notice here. This is an Ubisoft game. Ubisoft has made trash games for a long time. It's long since they, you know, came out with, like, fucking bangers. They just reproduce the same bullshit with a different skin constantly these days, right? And unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen with this game. That's probably what it is. Also, if you looked at the pricing scale for this game, it's insane. If you want the full game experience, you're looking at like $130, $140, something like that. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, the discourse around this game is just fucking insane, though, and it's like, it's driving me up the wall. Like, not even because of like the culture war kind of stuff, but just like the historically inaccurate arguments that these armchair fucking historians keep propagating because they saw someone else posted on Twitter. Oh, he was a retainer. That's the most annoying shit. If you don't think a retainer was a samurai in this context, you're an idiot. You are an idiot. And the reason he was never referred to specifically as a samurai is because they didn't call each other that then. So the word samurai means servant, okay? That's important to note. It means servant, all right? And so really anyone could be a quote-unquote samurai during that time. They didn't start really using that word specifically referring to the warrior class until after the warrior class was irrelevant. This is when the Sengoku period's over, the Tokugawa shogunate has taken over, and there's peace. And the samurai have nothing to do. And so they start, like, basically developing this new culture of this, like, philosophical warrior class that, you know, I mean, they're kind of technically non-warriors. I mean, they still obviously practice martial arts and all that shit, but, you know, I don't know. I also, like, this isn't necessarily a complaint about the game itself, but I would really love, there's like 2 time periods that they pick for samurai games generally, and I want a different one. You got Sengoku period, okay, that one makes the most sense, to be honest. And then you have basically the end of the Edo period going into like the Meiji Restoration, right? So like the end of the samurai, right? Ghost of Tsushima is like ancient, like that's like 1500s, whatever. Okay, cool, fine. You don't see very many games anymore that take place during the Edo period, which is, if you ask me, the most interesting time for samurai, because that's where all the philosophy comes from. That's where like all the famous sword schools come from, all the famous swordsmen come from. That's like Musashi. That's like, you know, things like that. They used to make games like this, right? You like the way the samurai games all were kind of like in that Edo period. The Kengo games are, you know, as well. That's when like philosophy and martial arts really flourished because they had nothing better to do, you know. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. Let's play some of this game. Anyway, if anyone has any questions or comments on my Yasuke spiel, let's hear it. I'm curious.
こうでもしなきゃ兄ちゃんやめないでしょ。ほんと相変わらず稽古好きなんだから。まったくお前こそ相変わらず。 So
this game takes place during the Edo period, right? So this is cool, you know. I mean, for whatever it is, I don't really know. It's obviously anime fantasy, but export that part to YouTube? Yeah, I should. Maybe I will. It's also important to note that Yasuke was with Nobunaga when he died. He was with Nobunaga when he died. He fucking disappears after that. We don't know if he was killed or if he left with the Jesuits. Oh, that's another fucking thing. Let's talk about that real quick. The Jesuits. I don't know how closely related they are to the Knights Templar, but you know, I would think if they're going with the same string of plot lines that the Assassin's Creed have always had, with the Knights Templar being the fucking bad guys, but another like Catholic organization, the Jesuits, that would make Yasuke the bad guy, right? Now, I don't think that's what's gonna happen. In fact, I'm confident they're not gonna make that connection. But if they were gonna do that, that makes the most sense. And I'm not saying Yasuke should be the bad guy, but like, you know, if they were gonna stick with their themes, like that makes sense, right? Glutton, what's up? How you doing? Welcome. Good to see you, my guy. How's India treating you? I'm curious what your thoughts are. Have you seen any of the Yasuke discourse with the whole Assassin's Creed Shadows thing? So presumably, what's going on in Assassin's Creed, I would assume it's after Nobunaga's demise, right? Because it doesn't seem like Yasuke is under his employ in this game. Now, we don't know enough about the game yet to really know that. But, yeah, I think maybe that's what's going on. So they're trying to tell that story, which is cool. You can, like, and that leaves room for artistic, you know, whatever, flexibility, licensing. But, yeah, whatever. Thank you. Thank you for the snack. We got some. Dude, I made one of these the other day, a big one, because I have this like big Kirby onigiri mold. Oh, it was so good. I heard that. Yeah, I heard Odyssey was pretty good. I didn't play it. The last one I tried to play was Valhalla, and it fucking sucked. I hated that game. The combat, like, to be honest, like, the concept of the game is kind of cool, right? But the combat in that game is fucking terrible. And it made it basically unplayable for me. I don't know. The controls just suck. Dude, it's been raining and storming here a lot too. We had some really bad storms like a week or two ago. And then, I mean, Texas is way south of where I live, but like Houston just got fucked up yesterday. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. I was just going on a rant about Yasuke and the new Assassin's Creed game. Because the new Assassin's Creed game, if you haven't looked into it, it takes place in Japan. It is, there's two main characters. There's basically man, the controls on this are a little whack. You've got a ninja girl and a samurai man who is Yasuke, the only... People need to stop saying the first. He is the only African samurai. Not the only foreigner samurai. It should be noted, there is at least two other foreigners that I know of that were made samurai. One is William Adams, who is the main character in Neo. And the other was his homie, actually. He doesn't get talked about as much. He's not nearly as famous. I don't even remember that guy's name. But it was a friend of his. And I don't know of any others. There might be a few others, but I don't know of any others. That's another thing that's annoying in this whole discourse, is there's the people that are like, oh, you don't like Yasuke being in it? What about Neo? Okay? Here's the thing about Neo. Neo, while a fantasy game with demons and, you know, whatnot, it follows history pretty freaking accurately if you remove that, right? It follows basically the end of the Sengoku period. All of the characters in that game are historical characters, including William Adams. And most importantly, this game is made by Japanese people, right? That's the choice that they made. If they wanted to make a foreigner the main character in that game, cool. Like, that's their choice, right? So, like, to say that, oh, if you like this game but you think this game's silly is racist, that's an insane thing to say. You know? I don't know. There's a lot of crazy shit going on. People are stupid. I think a lot of it's just for clicks, to be quite honest. Tom Cruise was a samurai, don't you forget. So he was not a samurai. But he is based on a real person. That guy, I think, was French, though. I think that guy was French. That Tom Cruise is supposed to be. But yeah, so they took artistic liberties with that movie too. That is a better argument, but they don't refer to him as the last samurai. Like, the point of that movie, and maybe this is above some people's heads, the last samurai isn't Tom Cruise's character, it's Ken Watanabe's character, right? It's Saigo Takamori is who that's based on. I think they changed his name in the game as well. Yeah, Ken Watanabe was the last one. Yes. Has anyone been paying attention to the dialogue in this game? Because I have not. I think we're gonna go fight some Ronin to try and pacify this town. Shinmen Musashi is Miyamoto Musashi, right? His original name was Shinmen Takezo. He's the son of Shinmen Munasai. When he, after the Battle of Sekigahara, when he went on his journey to become, the greatest swordsman ever, he took the name Miyamoto Musashi. And some people still refer to him as Shinmen Musashi. Oh, he's still alive. Yes. And Watanabe's great. Okay, onward. Boing, boing. I'm so used to playing Rise of the Ronin where I can climb on these buildings. I cannot climb on the buildings. Man, the camera is so sensitive in this. Oh, hey. What up? We can pet the dog. It's a good game. Confirmed. Oh, it's a mini game. We gotta